On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, who had the Avalanche and Sabres as the most entertaining, energetic, unbelievably epic game of the season? I know we probably didn't, and I'm guessing you didn't either. But a lot to talk about with this one. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads, and Blue Sky. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, LockedOnAvalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast, which we will be doing with our subtext crew a little bit later. Get their opinions on this one because, oh boy, was this went from one of the most like garden variety games that seemed like it was going down the road of an Avalanche loss to a game when we're at the end of the season looking back and doing like a year in review, maybe the most incredible game of the season to this point. We'll get to all, and I know a lot of people are going to get right to the Wedgewood stuff. We will obviously get to that because that's big, but you got to start with the win and how this game just morphed into just an epic game.
This was one of the most ridiculous games I can even recall. Like, I was sitting here before we were getting ready to record, trying to remember there was another game that rivaled the amount of ups and downs and goods and bads and clutch moments and boneheaded decisions and referees. And this was just an epic game, epic game. If this didn't fire you up, your wood's wet.
Yeah. You know, and this is against Buffalo again. You may have just like caused the Buffalo Sabres to relegate themselves for what you've done to them.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like the two games you played against them this year were just incredible comebacks from the Avs, and this one was just, you know, later in the game. Yeah, the first game in Buffalo happened all in the third period too. This one, not only it all happened in the third period again, but you get the game tying goal, pulling a goal. First of all, let's give a big congratulations to the Avalanche for not giving up an empty net goal, because that is something that has been rarely seen this year. And the fact that you net the one with 5 or 6 seconds left, man, that place was just absolutely rocking. And then you go into overtime, and it's Devon Toews of all people who has the breakaway goal. You know, you don't expect him to be the one to have a breakaway goal. He's always capable of scoring a goal. But in overtime, if he's going to get a goal, you're thinking it's going to be where things just cycle and a defender makes, you know, trips up in his defensive zone that gives Devon Toews a clear line of sight. Not a great defensive play that he, you know, kicks the puck out and he goes and gets it and outskates everybody for the game-winning goal. Just epic. Just from that, again, from that third period on, that's the only word you can use for, I mean, you can use a lot of words. It's not the only word, but it was just so exciting and entertaining, and why this is the best sport in the world.
Yeah, especially like Taser getting that breakaway like for the game winner. It's crazy because LOC had a couple chances on the penalty kill that you were like, oh, it's a classic LOC shorthanded goal, and it just didn't come to fruition. And then old Taser with a no doubter coming on the heels of like Cale Makar when he took the game over and like turned the tide. Just how the attitude, we talked about it, like how they ended 2024 with that swagger of you can't rule them out. You still have confidence in this team. You had that moment when that Cale Makar goal happened. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those games. And it was.
Yeah, and like I said, in the first really 40 minutes of this game, it was just what you saw from the Avs against the Jets. That was 60 minutes of a team just dialed in. Like the passing was just crisp, incredible, right on the tape in that game. They were the better team in that game, hands down. Um, and when you play a game like that against a team like the Jets, you kind of just figure like, okay, that's just gonna. Maybe you're just automatically thinking that's going to carry over. And maybe it's a little bit naive of me to think that, but you know, I think this shows you get up for teams like the Jets, and maybe you didn't for a team like Buffalo. Although Buffalo, I think they did win 3 games in a row coming into this. Take that for what it's worth, but they are a struggling team. So maybe the Avs just took it a little bit for granted that, hey, we're playing our best hockey of the season. Sure, maybe they've won 3 games in a row, but they're struggling overall. And you saw what they're a hockey team still, and the Buffalo is underachieving. They have some really good players on that team. They should be doing much better than they are. But they're trying to get their season on track. There's still a long way to go. Who knows what could happen? And you shouldn't take them for granted. I don't know if the Avalanche did that, but I think a lot of it was the way Buffalo was playing. Buffalo, I thought looked really good in the first 2 periods. And then, but we've seen this how many times with the Avs this year where it's like, okay, like we got to wake up. And eventually they do. And they I think they have more comeback victories than anybody in the league. It's not it's not the way you want to win, but we haven't been seeing it as of late. They've kind of gotten away from it, but it crept up again in this game where they didn't start all that well, but they don't quit. And you saw it. And this game got emotional. Once again, we'll get to the Wedgewood thing in a minute, but I think it just galvanized these guys. And you had um, who was JJ Paterka. I think he's going to have nightmares of Keaton Middleton to lead him out twice. There might have been a third time, but twice he just crushed him. So you have guys like that on your team that can like throw a hit that can get the guys like galvanized and together. But then the thing that happened to Wedgewood that really got everybody going. And you had moments where you gave it up. You had where you were coming back, you cut into the lead, and then you gave up that goal that you really thought like, it's just going to be a little bit too much. But they didn't quit, and they tied it up.
And we were talking about like the Avs currently on a 6-game win streak. Let's just throw that out there. But like,
yeah, best in the league.
After that Winnipeg game, like you saw the Avs coming into fruition, like the full-fledged, like this is how this team is going to win hockey games. Buffalo, with Benson and the rest of the motley crew out there in Buffalo, they got chippy, they got dirty. It was like going into a fight, and they took their liberties. They were chirping, they were getting under everybody's skin, and it was one of those, hey, you can win hockey games like a hockey team should, but what do you do when a team comes at you and starts resorting to this? How do you this team's emotional. We talk about Nathan McKinnon and how they react to those emotions, and when calls don't go your way, and when just situations are out of your hands, what do you do? Does the whole team react? Do they? And like this goes back to, this is a Bednar. You can see the Bednar effect trickle down to this team. Like they rallied around each other.
Sure.
We talked about like last year where there wasn't a lot of fight, and like when people would go after players or get knocked down, there wasn't a lot of chase. This, you saw everybody in the pile fighting and defending and taking up for each other, and that was a huge indicator to me. Like this team believes in what they're doing, and they have banded together. This whole team, top to bottom, there's something special about this club.
Yeah, definitely. You look at the stats, and on the defensive side of things, you had Devon Toews with the goal and an assist, or 2 assists. I'm sorry. So he had a 3-point night. Makar with 2 goals, and Sam Girard with an assist. So you got 6 points out of your defenders in that game. So which is you're going to get your points from Makar. Toews is going to chip in, but to get 6 points total from your defenseman is great. And then you also had Casey Middlestat got one assist, and he was a +1. And, not earth shattering, but when he was -17, and now I believe his last 2 games he's +4. You just want to see that trend continue that trend. But for your other guys on the forward side, Mikko with the goal and an assist, Colton with the goal, Drouin with that last second goal to tie it. He also added an assist, and Nathan McKinnon with 3 more apples on the day. So you're getting that you didn't get a lot from your depth guys in terms of scoring, but your top guys, when you're down like this, you're going to roll out your top line or top 6 really more because that's your bread and butter. And they produced. Again, that's what you want when you're down in a game. You need your big guys to step up. You're not going to put your fourth line out there all that much because you don't expect them to be the ones to get you back in the game. And Bednar puts his guys out there, and they answered the bell for this one. It's all you can ask for.
And for the Drouin question marks, he's come back for 2 games. He's got 4 points.
He's been great. Yeah, he's been good. So, and they're throwing him out there. He had 22 minutes, 46 seconds in this game. So, there's no training wheels for him to get acclimated. So,
no.
Yeah, and we didn't mention either. Oscar Olausson got brought up for this game because Valenchushkin is out. It seems to be day-to-day. Doesn't seem to be anything too major. But Olausson got brought up and played just about 8 minutes. And, I mean, it wasn't like all that memorable, but, hey, he's doing well enough at the AHL where they feel that they needed to bring him up. So, good for him.
Yeah, it was good to see him again, and probably won't be the last time.
Well, we'll see what the Chuskin stuff is. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get a break in here, and then where all of this started to explode, and that is the Scott Wedgewood injury and the goal that followed. So let's get a break in, and we'll talk about that next. All right, the NFL playoffs almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And I think it's pretty easy in the last week of the NHL to win a $5 bet and get that $250 because, you have just crazy spreads this week because teams are resting players. Teams are just phoning it in while others have something to play for. Could be easy. I think I know the Broncos spread is 10. It might have gone up. I think the Ravens spread over the Browns is like 17.5. That's unheard of. So if you want an easy $250 in bonus bets, now is the time to do it in the last week of the NFL season. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. It's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets, where you can make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's get to it because this is going to get talked about quite a bit. And you had Scott Wedgewood leaving the game after an injury. And what's not in dispute is how, we're not looking for goaltender interference or anything like that. I believe it was Parker Kelly that kind of he's battling with, who was it on the Sabres? It was he's one that scored the goal.
It was Zach Benson. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah,
Rugrat.
Yeah, so he's battling with Benson, and he is kind of they're fighting for position. Benson falls, and he falls right on Wedgewood's leg, and Wedgewood is just writhing around in pain in the goal. The play doesn't get stopped, and Benson goes and collects the puck in the corner, circles back around, and puts home in the easiest goal that he'll probably ever have in his career, and then celebrates like he did something awesome. And the Avs were up in arms. The fans are up in arms. Jared Bednar was as animated as you'll see him. And they allowed the play to continue, and they allowed the goal to happen. And again, the question is not like, why isn't goaltender interference called? There wasn't goaltender interference. You had an injured player on the ice, and by rule, refs can stop it if it's deemed a serious injury. And the ref is, when there's a scrum in front of the net and to see where the puck goes, sometimes the ref will stand on the back of the net. That's what the ref was doing when Benson wrapped around. He got out of the way of Benson, which was very nice of him, by the way, the ref did, to go stand on the goal. And then Benson scores the goal, and he's looking directly at Wedgewood. You can see how much pain he's in. And they let it go. Give me your thoughts, and we'll continue to talk about this.
Twofold. This whole incident reminded me of, I think it was 2019, 2020, the Matt Calvert Vancouver incident.
Yeah, that always comes up. Yeah.
It was appalling then because he was bleeding out on the ice. Like, he was bleeding everywhere, and that play did not get stopped. This one, TJ Luxmore. Let's go ahead. Everybody, the OGs, the everydayers, they know I don't like complaining about referees. It's just part of the game. TJ Luxmore, this is on you, my friend. This is, not only did you know this was happening, there was that replay of him hopping on the back of the net to get out of the way of the play, staring right down into Wedgwood's eyes. I was just like, dude, you guys could have had a whole conversation. And he's pointing down. Like, I don't know what more had to happen for him to wave that off. And Bednar even furthered it by, he knew he was going to lose that challenge, but he wanted Luxmore to go back and look at that call at all of the spots in slow motion where he could have called that entire play dead and take it to a faceoff circle, and he didn't. And then still allowed the goal to stand. That it was mind-numbing, and we probably have witnessed Luxmore's last game as a referee.
Well, this is part of the reason why refs got to talk after games are over and just explain, this is what I saw. This is why I did not call this play dead, or just penalties or whatever the case may be. This is a perfect example why the refs need to be made available. Tell me what you saw and why you did it that way, and then we can go off of that and play what I think with what they think, and you can have that conversation. But right now it's just, but this one, it's all, you just laid it out. It's all right in front of him, literally right in front of him, and he did nothing. I love the Bednar challenge. I absolutely love. He knew it wasn't going to get overturned, but just to force him to go look at his actions and then force him to go to center ice and announce to that crowd it stands is just a thing of beauty. But the plays can continue if there's an injured player, if there's like an imminent scoring chance.
Mm-hmm.
That play went off into the corner where it was collected by him, and he circled back around to the other side of the net. That's not an imminent scoring chance. So there's nothing here where you can convince me that play should have continued. And if you listen to this show enough, you know that I always, didn't matter what team a guy is on, I always err on the side of player safety.
Mm-hmm.
How is that player safety?
It's
when the guy is in the net, and when that's where pucks go to score goals in this league, the guy's in that net. What if it was what if the puck went into the corner and then got kicked out to the blue line and a slap shot was taken, and Wedgewood's just laying there? None of it makes any sense to me. And will the league respond to this? Not publicly, maybe, or did they?
That is half the purpose of the Bednar challenge, because he can take this challenge and appeal, and once it happens, if he lets it go, it doesn't really you can't really bring it back up. But Bednar does have the option now that he has challenged, and there was a ruling from Toronto. He could take this to the league office and appeal this call and make the NHL make a statement on this as well, as an additional dance on TJ Luxmore's face.
Yeah, if all that comes out of that is the NHL makes a statement, then it's a success. Nothing's going to change, obviously, about it. But if that's the end result of it, then good. Then go do it.
And then secondly, like you were talking about the seriousness of the injury, the way he came down on the back of the ankle, which honestly it looked like an Achilles was popped. If that was a blade on blade, or the blade on like, what if he was bleeding in that situation?
So that isn't. Yeah, go ahead.
How long are you going to let that play out? Like, he's laying there in pain, not moving, and how long are you going to like the referee again is on the back of the net, out of position. If that play got muddied up, he did not have a clear line of sight, could not call a goal, and would have to wave it off, freeze the puck. All of that was completely discombobulated. And initially, he should have, when he's making eye contact with a goalie who's staring at the rafters, he should have been calling that off.
There is stuff in the rule book about blood. Like, if there is blood visible, then yes, it immediately gets stopped. But quickly, a couple people reminded me of earlier in the game when Mikko Rantanen hit Rasmus Dahlin up against the board. They blew that dead because he kind of like lowered his head, and Mikko was going for the check, and his head kind of went up against the board, blew that play dead right away. But this, and he popped right up and went right back to his bench, and he was fine. Good, thank God. But for this, the guy is literally he can't move in his own goal. You're looking right at him, and you let that go.
And I believe it was early in that first period. There was I cannot remember the players involved, but Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was pushed into his own net where he was rolling around, but the play eventually rimmed around the boards and went back going towards Colorado's net. But it was very similar where he's laying backwards and rolls around, finally gets back on his feet. Wasn't as down as long as Wedgewood, but nothing was called. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Didn't think it would turn around to be a makeup call on the other end, but it was interesting for sure.
I'm just surprised it didn't get blown dead because it was a goalie that was injured. Like, this league, and rightfully so, protects their goalies. And, you know, we've seen it with goalie interferences this year. Like, they've gotten really like strict on that. And again, this is not goalie interference. I'm just saying, like, the goalies are like the quarterbacks of hockey. Like, you don't touch them, you don't do anything to them because they're vulnerable back there. And, you know, anything happens to them, they get protected. So what was there that we're not going to protect Scott Wedgewood when he's in as much agony as he was? And I posted the rule. The rule is very long. I took the blurb out of it. And the quote is, in the case where it is obvious that a player has sustained a serious injury, the referee and or linesman may stop the play immediately. There's a few people that are honing in on the word may stop. Well, and they're like, well, it says it may stop. Yeah, you're right. Because this is an instance where it should have stopped. There's other ones where the may is no. But in this case, the may is yes. This is Justin Timberlake. It's going to be May. Go ahead.
You know, and we've done a season with Darcy Kemper. How many stoppages did we witness for blades, for masks, for gloves? Like, when that equipment wasn't safe, when he just deems, or you've seen it where a mask gets hit or it gets touched, and they have to tighten it back up and everything has to stop and you have to wait. Like, what's the difference in that and literally laying there screaming in pain? Like, yeah, where's your line of safety?
It doesn't make any sense to me. And, you know, if the Avs had lost based on that goal, I think we would have started with this. And, you know, other people are saying, like, well, you know, what's a serious injury?
They're zebras, Scott Wedgewood, X-ray machines.
I mean, Scott Wedgewood in his own goal had to be helped off, couldn't put any weight on that skate. Like, do you have to wait until you hear the severity of the injury to know how bad it got? And we haven't heard that yet. Bednar had an interesting comment that you heard on his press conference. They asked him about it, and what did he say?
He asked, why did they not blow it dead? He said, because the player was pushed into your goalie, and Bednar responded with, I don't give a Benson.
Yeah.
And
again, the getting pushed in the goalie is not the issue here. We're not arguing if there should have been a penalty or not. we're arguing that the play should have been stopped dead because there was an injured player on the ice. So that reasoning just goes right out the window. Whatever.
How do we determine serious injury when everything's UBI LBI?
Well, there's reasons for that. Oh man, you're going to make me go down a road with that. There's a difference for that. So, you know what? This is gonna, and unfortunately, this is gonna. The sides of this are going to be, where's your allegiance? Unfortunately, it's like Sabres fans are going to be like, nothing wrong with it. We had the puck. Play continues. Avalanche fans are going to be, he was injured. Clearly, play should have stopped. And that's unfortunate because where my head is at is like the safety of the player. Wouldn't matter to me who it is. So
if this was Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen down and doing this, and this was like anybody getting the goal, I would not feel good about it. We've talked about goals that we just don't feel good about, like the Ottawa goal. Like we just don't feel good about it, and this would have been one. So
I just mentioned Dahlin.
Yeah,
like that looked bad when we were showing that replay. I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh man, I hope he's not in it. And then after they cut the replay, they showed him on the bench and he looked fine. So I was like, oh, okay, good. He's not, because that could be serious. So, but it's where this is going to go. It happens every time with injuries like this, and that's unfortunate because, you know, what does it have to be? If we get word that Wedgewood is out for the season, is that going to make you feel bad about it? If you're a Sabre fan, like will that be deemed serious? Imagine that, man. Imagine if it's the worst case scenario, and he, you know, either because he fell right on his leg, if he broke a bone, or like you said, maybe snapped a ligament or something like that. What's the league's response to that? Is that not a serious enough injury now? It's ridiculous. So, but hey, the Avs won the game. So let's get our last break in, continue to talk about this, get our subtext people in, and our sound checks as well. So we'll do that right after this. All right. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? I think that's happened to most people, and Rocket Money, it made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal fund for spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit for this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Say it as many times as you can. All right, so we got up there on YouTube about like the third bullet point is the never say die. The never say die attitude. It seems to have continued for this Avalanche, carried into this season, and it just seems to be, you know, when you have that, and you've had that over the course of multiple seasons now. We joke, you know, never turn off an Avalanche game, and there's Lisa. Our subtext, like she comments, she goes, I did not turn that one off. So she learned her lesson. And I think a lot of people and a lot of Avs fans have learned that. But there's still going to be some every day that, you know, turn it off, and they're not going to win them all. Like I understand that. But this, you know, Goonies never say die attitude is something that's followed the Avalanche around for a few years now. And it just makes them such an exciting team to watch because, they're genuinely never out of a game.
And they're believing in what they're doing. And it's like I mentioned in the first segment, like how they're rallying around each other. That's the most positive thing. Like that's the magic, the secret sauce that previous years have been missing. And with each win that they're getting in this win streak, I feel like this bond's getting stronger. And games like this, it's really going to unite this team.
Over on subtext, we got a lot of people chiming in on this one. Heather says, never, ever give up on our guys. Colton, Manson, and Lehkonen will be feeling the hits from tonight. One of you guys need to go on a break, and it will magically heal Wedgie. That's how it works, right?
Oh, that's right.
No, it's not how it works. No, we're Blackwood guys. If we go on, I mean, but we don't know. I mean, maybe she's right.
I can't take any more breaks than I.
No, I know. I just something's got to heal him.
Yeah, I'll do a rain dance or something.
Yeah, we got to find out what it is. Electrician Ziggy says that was the most stressful and exciting hockey game I think I've ever seen in my life. Down 2, pull the goalie. We somehow tie it up, take it to OT, and then have Toews bury a breakaway goal in OT to win it. Unbelievable. What do you say on here? There's something about something you got for Christmas. Okay. Cody, I try not to be superstitious, but I think I was the cursed individual today. T9 put it into perspective. I say every Buffalo goal in real time, but did not see that a single Avs goal in real time.
Ooh.
And when it was 5-5, my friend told me to come back out and watch it. And I told him no, because they'll lose. And sure enough, they won in overtime.
All heroes don't wear capes.
Cody, you are a master and a scholar, my friend. Kay says this game was insane. This is what Buffalo must think of the Avs. And she put it doesn't. Oh, I don't know what this is from. She put a GIF up from a movie. I can't see it. I don't know. I have to find out what that is. Sorry, Kay. I can't figure out what that is. So, Brandon, that was a crazy game. Crazy Train.
Ooh,
by Ozzy Osbourne for
Chipper Jones walk-up music.
His sound check. Was it really Chipper Jones?
Oh,
Larry?
Yeah.
Good old Larry?
Larry Jones.
And Avs fan forever finds his Wedgewood is getting screwed by a massive breakdown in defense. I'm going to bed. Avs fan forever, you, sir, are on the list.
Wait till he wakes up.
I know. All right, so what do we got for our sound checks? Kyle and I pick one song each that goes on a playlist over on Spotify. Songs that summarize the most recent game. And you can follow along in this playlist. Just search LOA Soundcheck Volume number 4. So what do you got for this one, sir?
Oh, this one is easy, and it cemented it with the way it ended. We're going to have to go with one of the loudest rock bands of all time. Who's ready for Kiss? Everybody, horns up. No, this is Psycho Circus from Kiss.
Ooh.
That's
I don't like Kiss, but I like the title of that song. It fits perfectly.
It's a cool album cover too.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Is this face painted Kiss or
not face painted Kiss? I want to say this is like 2000-ish Kiss.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it starts out kind of cool and creepy, but no, like every aspect of this game was like ridiculous and crazy, goonery, injuries, referees, late clutch goals, overtime winners. Everything was in this game. It was just insanity from like beginning to end. This is probably get a rewatch. It's definitely Psycho Circus from Kiss.
Rewatch from the third period on. I don't know. I need to watch.
There's when you know how it ends, you can pick up on things that happened in the first couple periods that you really just were like shrugging off. It could carry things that carry through.
All right. For me, I had to go because there was so much emotion in this game. There was anger, frustration, just every emotion that you could go through. I think you were going through it, and then at the end, obviously, just elation and just sheer joy. So I needed a band that kind of encompasses all of that, and that's easily Rage Against the Machine. So I went Rage Against the Machine, and I went with Take the Power Back. So again, that's exactly what happened. The Avs just took this thing back, and because it's a Rage song, you got the anger part of it, and just the sonicness of Rage is just it's perfect for this.
Perfect choice.
They took it back twice now against Buffalo.
Yep.
And Buffalo can't do anything about it until next year.
Yeah, this is it. You're done.
Yeah. Yep.
You're done. And these are two songs that you can easily, when you pull them up in the playlist, you're like, oh yeah, Buffalo.
Right. Because it's just a playlist. So you don't when the season goes on, we have hundreds of songs on this thing. It's tough to remember what was what, but you're right. You can look at
Oh, this is definitely Buffalo.
That was the Buffalo game right there. Hilarious. All right. See, and there was other stuff that we were going to get to today. Like we were going to do like predictions for 2025, things to forget in 2024. Gabe Landeskog was skating like pretty hard at practice. Like it looked good. He looked good. We like with this game. This is a full episode, so we'll get to that stuff on Monday. And then anything else that happens over the weekend. But well, they're what's their next game is I think is the Canadiens, I believe, which is on Saturday. Yes, Saturday against the Canadiens, and then a big one on Monday at home against Florida Panthers. So don't use that trap game. Yeah, who's the Florida Panthers? Yeah, I don't want that trap game. I don't like that term. So just get past. Yeah, the Canadiens. Just get past them, please. Come on.
Yeah, keep the streak a rolling.
Yes. So, all right, it's going to wrap it up for today and for this week. So, thank you everybody for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Have a good weekend, everyone. And yeah, you made it through another 24 hours. Sidney Crosby is that much closer to becoming a Colorado Avalanche.
Buffalo would have chewed him up and spit him out.